name is Marco Lisi. I work for the European Space Agency in the Directorate of Navigation. Today, my lecture is about the technological future that we are facing in the next few years, that in my view is based on a big fusion of three big areas. We mentioned as a part of the new world, the new digital world, also the possibility to localize and so to position and to provide very exact timing. One source already today for positioning and timing, the most important, the most available and well known, are the GNSS, that are the Global Navigation Satellite System. The most famous one is GPS. Everybody uses GPS in its car. By the way, today in our smartphones already there are not only GPS receiver, but the receiver integrates also other systems. As a matter of fact, the scenario today for global navigation satellite system is a multi-constellation scenario. There are at least 4 global systems already developed or being developed. The GPS is the first from the United States, then the Russian GLONASS, but also the European Global Navigation System Galileo and the Chinese Beidou. There are also some regional systems, in some cases very big like the Indian one. What are these systems providing? Let's have a look specifically to the Galileo, that is in many aspects similar to GPS. The idea is that of putting a constellation of satellites around the Earth. So in the slide it is shown the constellation of Galileo satellites that are 24 plus some in orbit pairs that are deployed over 3 orbital planes, 8 satellites per plane plus 6 satellites, 2 per orbital plane as spare. And if we look at the architecture, we see that this constellation of satellites is then supported by a very complex and worldwide spread network of centers and monitoring stations. This is a characteristic of all these advanced technological systems that are very much relying on, again, on communications and processing. The centers of Galileo are in fact collecting information from all over the world through very reliable communication lines, and they elaborate, let's say, they process this information to derive the navigation messages that are broadcasted by the satellites and so on. An artist's view of the Galileo satellites is shown in one of the slides. And I want to focus on one aspect, a very important aspect that is often overlooked of these global navigation satellite systems. They are known by everybody as providing localization, the positioning, your positioning. What it is not always well understood, because it's less obvious to the everyday user, is the fact that they are also providing very, very accurate timing, the time information. And this is because of the way they work. The way they work is essentially based on very accurate clocks that are on board the satellites. Just to explain what is the evolution of timing accuracy, in one of the slides I have shown how is the time accuracy evolving over time. So we start from the very ancient times of Egyptians or Romans or Greeks, where the way to measure time was based on candle clocks or water clocks, or maybe in daytime on solar type of clocks. And then at that time the accuracy was in the order of minutes, several minutes per day, and that in the best case. Then later on we developed, for instance in the Middle Ages, mechanical clocks, and the mechanical clock was a big improvement, but still it was losing maybe several minutes per day, maybe 2 or 3 minutes per day. Then we had in the 17th century the development of the marine chronometer, And that was an enormous achievement because we got to the accuracy of 1 second per day. So clocks were maintaining their accuracy inside 1 second over a complete day. More recently, we developed quartz clocks, the one that we are usually used also as wristwatches. And a good quartz clock is able to lose in the order of 1 second per year or every 2 years. Now, for the global navigation satellite systems, we have to use atomic clocks. And just to give you an idea of what an atomic clock, how an atomic clock is accurate, Galileo specifically is flying the most accurate atomic clocks ever flown in space, and the accuracy is in the order of 1 second every 3 million years. So we are comparing a normal commercial, rather inexpensive indeed, wristwatch based on a quartz oscillator that is accurate inside 1 second per year to these atomic clocks that are as stable as 1 second every 3 million years. So at the end of the day, and this was not even planned at the beginning of the development of global navigation satellite systems, what we have is not only a constellation of satellites for positioning, but we have a constellation of ultra-stable clocks around the world. And this constellation of ultra-stable clocks around the world is in fact today the main source for the worldwide distribution of the UTC. UTC is the universal time, is the time reference for all our applications in our everyday life and in the industrial life, which are the areas that are relying on UTC as broadcasted by many. For instance, all communications, most communication networks, 5G first in the future, have to count on a very accurate timing in order to work properly. But also many networks, such as, for instance, the electric power distribution network, need accurate timing, and this is derived very, very often by signals coming from GPS or Galileo satellites. Other big infrastructures, such as the air traffic management, and even the banking and financial transactions are based on exact timing. So if we do not have exact timing, for instance, we would not be able to operate the network of ATM that provide cash dispensers, etc., around the world from different banks. So this is a very important service that is provided by GNSS. As a matter of fact, in recent studies, for instance, by the Department of Homeland Security in the United States, it has been shown that the impact on our society of the GNSS, the Global Navigation Satellite Systems, is mostly coming from timing. It's mostly deriving from the importance of exact timing. Most of our critical infrastructure, the critical infrastructure of our society, are in fact depending almost completely from the exact timing being derived from GPS and in the future also from Galileo. So this explains the enormous penetration of GNSS devices. If we look at the slides, we see that in the near future, in the next few years, we'll get several billions, in the order of 10 billions, and this estimate does not include the Internet of Things, because it is most probable that the future, let's say, smart devices that will make the Internet of Things feasible will also include global navigation, satellite navigation capabilities. So an enormous penetration. All our smartphones are equipped with GNSS receivers, as I said, based on not just on one constellation, but more than one. So, what is the conclusion? We mentioned the explosion of sensing. We mentioned the enormous development of communications. We mentioned the availability of very precise positioning and timing through, for instance, global navigation satellite systems. These three areas together will create an enormous amount of data, and you know that we speak more and more frequently about this approach of big data. This enormous amount of information has to be somehow processed. The right processing of this information is really creating a new world around us, a new representation, better, of our world. And we should mention maybe the famous author of the recent past, the writer and poet Borges, who was himself envisioning a description of reality that was so precise and accurate to be somehow more real than the reality itself. This is somehow what we are facing in the future. Through this augmentation of reality, we are sort of increasing and expanding our capabilities. Now, what is the vision in terms of global infrastructure? If we speak of navigation, or better, positioning, navigation and timing, we have to consider the fact that we should not rely only on global navigation satellite systems, so satellite-based systems, but also integrate with other systems, ground systems, autonomous platforms. Ground systems could be based on the communication networks themselves. Autonomous platforms can be based on miniaturized atomic clocks and inertial sensors and so on. So this is a sort of system of systems for positioning, navigation and timing. This system of systems will have to integrate in other two system of systems, one for telecommunications, where different type of telecommunications under the new 5G standards will be put together, as well as a new area, a new system of systems for sensing that will include the more traditional Earth observation coming from pictures taken from airplanes on satellites, together with the expanding, enormously expanding area of sensors, wearable sensors and mobile sensors. So these three areas of system of systems will make a sort of global system of systems infrastructure. What is the conclusion and the future that we have to face? The future is in ubiquity, in integration and fusion. The three big words of telecommunication, sensing and positioning, and navigation and timing will work more and more together. From their integration, we'll be able to get into a future that is potentially very fruitful and able to expand our capabilities and maybe also, hopefully, to improve enormously the quality of our life. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.